Keeping up with your physical health and staying active is always important, and I feel that a lot of people are way more energetic at a younger age. Although I never liked any physical activities because they never seemed fun, especially when it comes to sports. I guess the reason why I don't like sports is because I was very weak, and I still am. If you make me jog, my sides will hurt fast and I'll be out of breath within 10 seconds. Part of the reason why I'm prone to my dislike of sports is from school experience. I tell you, at least 90% of my classmates were athletic, especially the athletic males. They are ferocious creatures, so I advise you to not stand anywhere near them. They can get very competitive, and if a team has one of them, that's a guaranteed win because they are the ones carrying the entire team on their back. So let me enlighten you. I would not usually participate in any sport-like activity, unless I were to be playing against other people who were equally as bad as me. At least I can have a fair chance of winning, but for the most part, even when I try to get into the action, no matter what, I never get a chance to do anything. Throughout my few years of PE class, probabilities of me actually getting to hold the ball would be below 1%. I mean, my main goal was to make it seem like I was wanting to try, but in reality, I just run around but don't actually make any contact. It's better than just staying away. So pretty much, I hardly even get to experience any games, which means my agility was never able to be strengthened. If there was ever a time in a game where I actually had to make a move, it's gonna be hard to watch. A few examples include baseball/kickball. The two games basically follow the same rules, but unlike baseball, you kick a ball and kickball instead of hitting a baseball with a bat. I dreaded it when it was my turn to bat or kick. My depth perception of a tiny baseball was low, and my kicking strength was not good at all. The entire class was staring at me, while I looked down, trembling, waiting for the ball to come my way. I get into position while the pitcher throws the ball into my direction. With specific coordination, I swing the bat and strike! It's gonna be a rough day. So that's me mostly, but when I somehow hit the ball, it usually hits the floor immediately right in front of me. It's not impressive, but it's not a foul at least. And the same thing applies for kickball. My strategy is to use my weak kicking skills to my advantage. Instead of going full force, I just kick the ball lightly. Lightly as in not kicking it up high or far away. That's all my strategy, and just like my attempts at batting, it's not impressive, but it's allowed. Baseball and kickball are definitely my least favorite sports out of all the others. A sport that feels a bit less daunting is probably volleyball. Volleyball is quite painful actually. To be able to hit the ball hard to get over the net really hurts. You'd think that a volleyball wouldn't hurt at all considering it being quite soft, but it doesn't feel like it when you're hitting it. My arms get all red and it's painful. But what's worse is serving. I used to be good at serving, but now I've lost that ability with my lack of practice. One time, when I was serving, I was able to get a lot of force, but it went way over the field and it almost hit my teacher. Oops. Now that is what happens when you underestimate your power. Although I believe my specialty is badminton, out of every sport, badminton is actually kind of enjoyable. Mainly because it's a sport that I can actually do, kind of. The sound the birdie makes when it hits the racket and it successfully flies over the net, it is so satisfying. It's not often I get to do something that awesome. Bonus points if I do it overhand. Anyway, one thing I've learned about sports is that it requires team coordination so that no one gets hurt. However, as the birdie was flying into my area, I began backing up with my racket behind me. People could easily tell that I was trying to hit it, but the person behind me tried swinging their racket as well, and they ended up hitting me in the eye. I'm not sure why they even tried doing that. I know that it wasn't intentional, but how could they do that? I sat down for the rest of the class recovering from that, so I learned that I should never try and prove myself. Overall, I could never do sports for the life of me, but sports weren't only in my life inside of school. When I was young, my parents enrolled me into certain sport activities. The only ones I remember were skating and swimming. Skating was kind of fun because I easily got the gist of it, but swimming? No, don't even think about enrolling me in swimming lessons. For skating, my first experience was awful. I couldn't move at all because I was so afraid of falling on my butt, which happened a few times, and it hurt. So I went very slow on my first practice, but eventually I got better at it. I honestly really liked the activities that the instructors made for us. They made tons of obstacle courses and got us to skate around the rink, which is very fun once you learn how to skate fast. Nowadays, my only difficulty is stopping smoothly. I would usually have to spin in small circles to stop, but honestly, I've progressively got better at skating. On the contrary, swimming lessons were not fun at all. I believe there are 10 levels of swim classes, and I could not get past level 4. I know this all happened years ago, but I could not do any better than where I was. I was pretty much stuck. Considering how many years ago it was, I feel like I could do so much better than before, but I am not willing to try it again. A few things about swimming lessons that I hated was how they forced you to keep your head down when swimming. Like, the instructors would complain that I'm taking my head out too much. Listen, if I need to come out of the water to breathe, then I'll do so. Sorry for not being able to hold my breath for 5 seconds. Another thing is when they force you to do treading water. Basically, you wave your arms and legs without holding anything for a minute, and it was absolute torture. I tried to do it for as long as I could, but if I really can't do it any longer, I need to grab on, and I attempted to do it sneakily. I'm not risking my life to tread water for a minute, okay? If a kid ends up drowning because you forced them to tread for a minute, that's on you, and I'm getting out of this pool. Sports are not for me, and it never will be.